Here's a comprehensive profile of Lieutenant General Serhiy Ivanovich Nayev, born 30th of April 1970 in Mohyliv-Podilskyi, now Ukraine. Here's a detailed overview of Lieutenant General Serhiy Ivanovich Nayev's early life and education. Early life birth. He was born on 30th of April 1970 in Mohyliv-Podilskyi, Vinnytsia Oblast, Ukrainian SSR, now Ukraine. Here is a detailed account of Serhiy Nayev's education and early military training. Formal military education. Moscow Higher Military Command School, 1987-1991. Location, Moscow, then part of the Soviet Union. Enrollment, entered the academy at age 17. Graduation, 1991, commissioned as a lieutenant. Focus, Combined Arms Command, with training in leadership, tactics, and military doctrine of the Soviet Army. Significance. This institution was one of the top command schools in the USSR, producing officers for leadership roles in mechanized infantry and motorized rifle units. National Defense Academy of Ukraine, 2006-2007. Location, Kyiv, Ukraine. Program, Operational and Strategic Level Staff Training. Graduated with distinction. He was awarded the Queen's Sword, a ceremonial honor given by the UK ambassador to the best performing foreign or Ukrainian student. Focus areas, operational strategy, joint force, coordination, modern warfare logistics, and planning. Early military training and career start. Soviet service, 1991. After graduating in 1991, Nayev began his active service in the Western Group of Forces stationed in Germany, former East Germany, a major Soviet military presence during the Cold War. Served as a motorized rifle platoon commander, a typical first post for a newly commissioned officer. Transitioned to Ukrainian Armed Forces, 1993. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, he joined the Armed Forces of Ukraine in May 1993. This was a formative time for Ukraine's military, which was transitioning from Soviet structures to an independent national force. Here are the key early milestones in the military career of Lieutenant General Serhiy Nayev, from his first commission to his rise in the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Key early military milestones: 1991, 2007, 1991, commissioned as lieutenant, graduated from the Moscow Higher Military Command School. Assigned to the Western Group of Forces in Germany, part of the Soviet Army's overseas deployment, served as a motorized rifle platoon commander, leading a basic infantry unit during the final years of the Soviet military presence in Europe. 1993, joins Ukrainian Armed Forces. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Nayev transferred to Ukraine's military, became part of the foundational cadre of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, as they began establishing their own command structure, independent of Soviet oversight. 1993-2006, field leadership progression. During this period, Nayev rose steadily through the ranks in operational command roles: commander of reconnaissance company, mechanized battalion commander, chief of staff of a mechanized regiment, assigned to various key units within the Western and Southern operational commands. Gained frontline experience and leadership credibility during post-Soviet military restructuring and early deployments. 2006-2007. Strategic military training selected for higher education at the National Defense Academy of Ukraine. Graduated from the Operational Strategic Level Staff Course. Received the prestigious Queen's Sword Award, presented by the British Ambassador, for being the top graduate of the year, a rare honor reflecting exceptional academic and leadership performance. Synopsis: born 30th of April 1970, Mohyliv-Podilskyi Higher. Military education, 1987-1991, Moscow Higher Military Command School, lieutenant rank, 2006-2007, National Defense Academy, Operational Strategic Faculty, awarded Queen's Sword. Would you like me to continue with his career progression? Service roles or anything? Here's a detailed timeline of Lieutenant General Serhiy Nayev's military career progression, tracing his rise through command positions in Ukraine's armed forces. Military career progression of Serhiy Nayev, 1991-1993. Soviet Army officer. After graduating from the Moscow Higher Military Command School, Nayev served as a motorized rifle platoon commander in the Western Group of Forces stationed in Germany. 1993-2006. Early Ukrainian army roles upon joining the armed forces of Ukraine. Commander of a reconnaissance company. Commander of a mechanized battalion. Chief of Staff of a mechanized regiment. Served in both the Western and Southern operational commands. Developed expertise in mechanized infantry tactics and regimental-level leadership. 2006-2007. Strategic staff training. Attended the National Defense Academy of Ukraine, graduating with top honors. Awarded the Queen's Sword by the UK Ambassador for Academic Excellence. 2007-2013. Rising command roles. Commanded the 820th Mechanized Regiment. Later promoted to commander of the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade, a key Ukrainian ground force unit. Held senior staff and planning roles in the Operational Command South. 2014. War in Donbass took part in Ukraine's defense during the initial Russian hybrid invasion. Appointed commander of Sector B during the Battle of Donetsk Airport, one of the most intense and symbolic battles in the war. Demonstrated operational leadership in an active combat zone. 2015 to 2017, Operational Commands, served as Chief of Staff and then Commander of Operational Command East, OC East, overseeing operations across Ukraine's Eastern Front. Also served as First Deputy Commander of Ukraine's Ground Forces, 2018 to 2019. First appointment as JFO Commander appointed by President Petro Poroshenko as Commander of the Joint Forces Operation, JFO, in March 2018. Oversaw the transition from the Anti-Terrorist Operation, ATO, to a full-fledged Joint Forces Operation, integrating all Ukrainian military and security units under a single command in Donbass. Emphasized better coordination with NATO partners and modernization of combat structures. May 2019. Temporarily dismissed from the JFO role by Poroshenko shortly before the presidential transition. Replaced by General Alexander Syrsky, March 2020, February 2024. Reappointed as JFO Commander President Volodymyr Zelensky reappointed Nayev as Commander of JFO on 27 March 2020. Directed military responses and defense preparations prior to and during the full-scale Russian invasion in February 2022. Managed deployment of mobile air defense groups, strategic defense of Kyiv's northern front, coordination of foreign supplied weapon systems and training, fortification of borders with anti-tank mines and trench lines, February 2024, reassigned relieved from JFO command in February 2024 after internal political shifts. Unexpectedly reassigned to a frontline combat role in Donetsk as commander of the Velika Novosilka tactical group, an unusual demotion for a general of his rank. April 2025. Still active at front by spring 2025, Nayev was commanding the Vuhledar tactical group in active combat near the Donetsk front. Despite being sidelined politically, he remained a key figure on the battlefield, a rare example of a lieutenant general returning to direct combat command. Here's a detailed breakdown of Lieutenant General Serhiy Nayev's role in senior leadership, specifically focusing on his command of Ukraine's Joint Forces Operation, JFO. Senior Leadership, Joint Forces Command, JFO. What is the Joint Forces Operation, JFO? The Joint Forces Operation, JFO, is Ukraine's unified military command overseeing all defense efforts in eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk regions. It replaced the older Anti-Terrorist Operation, ATO, in April 2018, consolidating the command structure of Ukraine's armed forces, National Guard, Security Service, SBU, Border Guard, and other defense agencies under one unified leadership. First appointment as JFO Commander term, March 2018. May 2019, appointed by President Petro Poroshenko as the first official commander of the JFO, tasked with reforming and strengthening Ukraine's military response to Russian aggression in the Donbass region. Key achievements: established unified battlefield command across army, police, and security forces. Improved interoperability with NATO partners, especially in command and control logistics. Increased focus on offensive posture and defensive fortification. Helped organize rotation schedules and logistics hubs for frontline troops. Dismissal. Dismissed in May 2019, shortly before the end of Poroshenko's presidency. General Oleksandr Syrsky was appointed as his successor by the incoming administration. Second appointment as JFO commander term, March 27, 2020, February 2024. Reappointed by President Volodymyr Zelensky due to Nayev's proven battlefield leadership and organizational capability. This second tenure became critical. In the lead-up to and during the full-scale Russian invasion that began in February 2022, JFO under Nayev. During full-scale invasion 2022-2024, defending northern Ukraine, Kyiv region, Nayev was instrumental in organizing the defense of Kyiv, particularly from northern incursions, Belarusian direction, implemented mobile air defense groups, territorial defense units, anti-tank minefields, urban warfare planning, and Hostomel, Bucha, Irpin NATO coordination and Western aid facilitated the absorption of Western weapon systems, including javelins, NLAWs, and artillery. Helped plan training programs with Western partners for frontline Ukrainian units. Border fortifications directed construction of new fortified defense lines along the northern and eastern borders. Oversaw trench systems, tank traps, and reserve logistics depots. Reassignment and change in role, February 2024, removed as JFO commander in a surprise reshuffle by the Zelensky administration. Instead of a retirement or advisory role, he was sent to the front lines as commander of a tactical group, an unusual move for a general of his rank. Now commands the Vuhledar Tactical Group near Donetsk as of 2025.